Dr. Castleberry here with an abbreviated part 3 of our week 1 asynchronous dialogue in progress. And we've got electrical blip. I can't wait to see what that special effect looks like on the back end. Here's a question for us. Can coupons be the... all right, we're looking at Robin Blakeman in Integrated Marketing Communication, Chapter 9 on newspaper advertising. Question is, can coupons be the cause of why so many Americans tend to overspend? No. Typically it's because of credit, right? Using credit, abusing credit, exploiting credit, creditors exploiting creditees, I guess, but social pressure as well, right? Advertising itself is a method, a mechanism of social pressure. And this actually can become exacerbated with contemporary uses of social media, because we're constantly sharing all our things like I got this going on, look at all the gravy on my mashed potatoes. And so that natural tendency to covet, right, the color green, this creates social pressure, all right, as opposed to those evil coupons. Do you think in the years to come that newspapers will become dead as no longer interesting to the public due to the mass number of alternatives? Okay, so paper things are on the decline. Paper things are on the decline. News information is as popular as ever, okay? And people are, news corporations are profiting. Some lose money, but some are profiting as well. So the golden rule, hence gold in the title, golden rule, as long as it makes money and generates business, it will continue. All right. So so some will and some will not continue to operate. Here's some questions from Aaron. Ads, fads, consumer culture, burger. Why were so many social scientists using a psychological model if it was unsuccessful? Have most switched over to Berger's type of model that focuses on the effect of advertising on society? Okay, so there was a lot of social scientists in the beginning of sort of advertising studies and media studies. In fact, in advertising's heyday, right, this sort of Mad Men era, 50s and 60s especially, at the same time in popular culture and Hollywood, there was kind of the zeitgeist, right? The spirit of the age was obsessed with the sort of Freudian theory, right? These kinds of hotbed topics, and Freud, Marx, and so on. But that's where you had some of these more psychological theories were constantly in play in these studies. One of the things I would say is that media effect studies, as we discussed in a couple of classes, if you ever have had it, have mixed results. But ultimately, cognitive studies, all right. So sometimes psychology, sometimes sociology, but psychology, cognitive studies, maybe communication. It's communication, social scientists. Cognitive studies offer valuable predictors, okay, for consumer behavior. And that's where that's where they start to see the cartoon characters, right, with dollar signs in their eyes. If you can predict consumer behavior, then you can focus your message in a way to intersect, right, based on those predictions. Skip. Which of the methods of analysis, page 170, 171, are most effective? Are there other methods not mentioned here worth looking into? Always, yes, there are many more. But back to most effective, it depends. There's a list of methods, and we're up against it here. But please, everyone, pause and go look at page 170, 171, the breakdown. Most of these are sort of critical, structural, semiotic type analyses, okay? They all represent a kind of critical turn. So basically what my response would be, it depends on what you want to understand about the object under analysis. Okay, so it could depend also, your choice of that method, it could depend on if an object is visual, if the object is phenomenological, if the object is more cognitive based, if it is political, and so on and so on, right? So it depends on the object and what you're using it for. But most importantly, it depends on your research question, okay? That RQ, or that, thesis or hypothesis. And so typically you'll find a lot of research questions should drive the nature of the study, and the nature of the study would then have the right kind of lens appropriate to respond to the developed question or a hypothesis, right, under investigation. All right, are there times, Robin Blakeman, when traditional mass marketing would be a better option than IMCs, or in general, right, vice versa? Are we supposed to just lean heavy to IMCs, in other words, I sense the question is, or what about good old-fashioned traditional kind most of us are familiar with? Yes, I think there's cases where either or can function. I think this book is helpful in guiding us through evolving processes. All right, that's what's important, especially for this major, for students looking to go into that professional work. We want to understand the trends that shift and continue to shift. All right, so we're not going to look at IMC and say, well, that's the future, because this is an ever evolving area. Okay, and it will have to be, but we can do our best to understand recent trends toward that, and we can even practice those. I think we will. Decline in newspaper sales. Is the decline in newspaper sales affecting the IMC use of print advertisements and coupons? Possibly. I would say that mail-outs are an absolute crapshoot at this point, and but so is internet advertising. Sometimes and this is a good pause point to say, we're at a crossroads with a lot of these, and the right kinds of companies are finding ways to become more and more strategic. Right, that's why data mining is such an important tool for marketers, for businesses. But could IMC strategy be used to improve newspaper sales before they become obsolete, or is it too late? It's probably too late. But we're just talking about for the print medium, right? The print product must apply to a large enough consumer base. And we're all seemingly adapting to these digital formats for the majority of our content. All right, John, questions from John. No rug pulls this week. Does the statement, even lousy advertising works, end quote, apply to all advertising, or does it just mean it as a means of getting a name or product out to the public eye? Right? The latter is what Berger is suggesting, that this is that old adage, like any publicity is good publicity. There can be public campaign crises and that sort of thing. Is there connection between psychoanalytic and sociological interpretation of an advertisement, or can one be as influential on its own? It depends. Again, I think it's a great opportunity to say it depends on who performs the analysis, and also we would suggest that mixed methods approaches can work well in some cases, but may be less effective or unnecessary in others. All right, so a good question about mixed methods. Mixed methods they can be experimental, they can be fun, they can possibly expand or add to conversations, but they're not always necessary, right? Sometimes we just need some raw data to play with. And finally, I think I only have time for, looks like one question from Megan. All right, oh man, which way do I want to go? All right. Blakeman, page 2, writes about IMC. The goal is to reach one individual within the target. That will create lasting relationship and develop the brand loyal consumer who will continue to purchase that brand without the need for continuing advertising efforts. How is this an effective strategy if the average consumer is inundated with thousands of ads? As Berger says, you're right, thousands of ads. There is a key connection or distinction we can make, because thousands of impersonal ads get lost on us. We become numb to them, versus if one focused, strategic, like an IMC style encounter, especially with an individual, a person, if one focused encounter hopes to achieve an emotional and a personal connection with this, then it has reached a breakthrough point, and that is far more effective than hitting us like with the the blitzkrieg of 1,001 ads. All right, so wouldn't it be logical to assume that continuous advertising is needed to hold the interest of a consumer? Maybe. It depends on the consumer. Varying attention spans, varying levels of critical thinking. Something well advertised, da 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 da. All right, we sense some fun job playing devil's advocate here. Use of personal example. You mentioned an absolute IMC strategy that people that yes, the folks on social media promoting their products and stuff and creating sort of interactive videos, or not the illusion of interactive videos. These are IMCs at work, right? These marketing strategies. We see them all the time, especially with beauty products, things that appeal to that kind of those types of life cycles, those types of consumer interests, those types of consumers, right? With that kind of a disposable income. But making that connection, there's going to be so much more in this class and even future classes where we connect the dots. Looking forward to that. Let's connect some dots, folks. Let's have lots of fun. Thank you for tuning in to week 1 video lecture, asynchronous dialogue, COM 3533, PR advertising and brand management. Thank you.